Okay, let's just keep it real. Let's keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? It's one game. It's one game with James Harden. It's not like it's the end of the world. It's not like it's at the end of the season. Um, you know what I'm saying? It's just one game. And I understand that. So I'm not going to beat James Harden up too much or anything like that. In fact, I really can't because he actually played pretty decent, honestly. So, but the outing wasn't good because it's a loss. And see, when we talk about seeding records and things like that, you know, what you want your record to be at the end of the year, or, you know what I'm saying, at the point in time before the playoffs and where you're seated at, you know, within going into the playoffs. Games like this they just hurt. You know what I'm saying? They just hurt because it's a game that you look at on the calendar. It's like, oh man, if we would have got that game, that might have been the difference between us going to the play-in tournament, hypothetically, and going or making it into the playoffs or having a playoff spot. And I know right now a lot of people don't see it that way. And I definitely understand if you don't see it that way. I definitely get it. But at the same time, I see it this way because the Clippers really can't afford to lose games they're supposed to win. And my thing is, when you think about where the Clippers are, I mean, let's see, what are they, 3-3? I think, you know what I'm saying? They're playing 500 basketball. You're playing 500 basketball when, you know, your schedule has been pretty favorable so far. It hasn't been like dynamically hard or anything like that. You know, you muff one that you should have won against Utah. I feel like the Clippers defense should have been good enough to get that, you know what I'm saying, and shut down some things that Utah does, but they weren't able to do that. And then you lose a game like this with the Knicks, even though James Harden is his first game scoring 17 points, you know, shout out to him for, you know, playing whatever role they asked him to play. It still should have came out and within a victory because it is the New York Knicks. I understand that, you know, James Harden is giving his debut and everybody's trying to figure out their roles and stuff like that. But you have four superstars on the floor. In most people's eyes, they look at this team as having a big four, like four superstars. Me personally, I mean, you know, I feel like they have two superstars and two stars. But I mean, however you want to look at it, I'm 100% fine with it. Four superstars, if that's how you want to look at it, let's go with that. But either way, you have four players that are dynamic on the floor who can drop 30, 40 points at any given time. You can't lose to a Julius Randle team with, you know, Jalen Brunson team with Julius Randle and players like that, because you still have the better team and you still have the better coach and you still have the most talent on the floor. And that's my thing, that, you know, it can come back to hurt the Clippers in that aspect. Games like these that you're supposed to win, that you let go because, I mean, you know, the defense wasn't there in the fourth quarter. I mean, all the way to the third quarter, they were playing good. You know what I'm saying? They were playing, you know, pretty decent anyway. They weren't playing good because they were playing good. They would have been up by 10, 15 points. But the game was like 72-70 at that point within the third quarter, going into the fourth. I mean, you know, you had to just play one more quarter with decent basketball. With four-star players, you should find a way to play decent basketball with that type of talent, going up against the Knicks. I mean, you know, if it was maybe another team or something, yeah, maybe. But the Knicks they're just horrible to me. They really are. And I don't know, that's just me. That's just my rant, you know, my venting for the day or whatever you want to call it, because I just personally didn't like it. I don't like to lose. I don't like to lose anyway. But I mean, I don't like the mentality of losing. I just feel like, you know, winning is the key. But like I said, with the talent the Clippers had on the floor, you still should have found a way to come out with that game. I mean, that you still have four-star players who is better than the whole Knicks roster. That's all I'm saying. But, I mean, it was James Harden's first game, you know what I'm saying? So even though it bothers me, I'm not going to, like, hold a grudge to it. That's what I meant to say. I'm not going to hold a grudge to that one game because they got many more games after that to make up for it and really figure things out. So me not venting, now I'm going to say, you know, they got time to figure things out. Even though I'm still, you know, mad over the loss, because I feel like you should just beat a team like that regardless. I don't care, you know, what the situation is. But the main point at hand is they got time to figure it out. But the one concern I will say, that I do have about the team is with James Harden in the lineup, that takes away some of the defensive prowess that they had. Because even when they had Robert Covington in the game, or even if they started Nicholas Batum like they've done for several years, or even with Terrence Mann in the game, if he was available, that's defense. And defense wins championships. Defense sets you apart from other teams who are just all scoring. And like I said, teams will score a lot. But at the same time, when you lock a team down defensively and keep putting pressure on them and applying that pressure, sometimes their legs get tired. Those jump shots don't fall. And to me, one of the Clippers' strengths before they gave up some of their depth for James Harden was they had versatile defensive guys. And now that they don't have those defensive guys, it just looks like, you know, they might be this team that has a lot of offense, but their defense is going to suffer a little bit. Now, hopefully, of course, I think Terrence Mann will be able to make up for some of that because of how he is and how he plays. But he will probably be coming off the bench now. So it's like that's whenever he comes in the game, he can make an impact defensively. Mostly what's in their starting lineup is all pretty much scoring. Now, of course, Kawhi and PG, they can put up a lot of points. I mean, they can, play defense and things like that. But some of their defense goes away sometime because they're asked to do a lot offensively. And I think in the playoffs, they're still going to be, asked to do a lot offensively because I'm not sure what coaching plan Tyronn Lue is going to come up with, but I mean, I feel like he's more or less, based upon the interviews and stuff he's been saying and speaking on about the situation, the couple times he was asked, I feel like he's going to put the ball like in Russ's hands, put it in James Harden's hands, and have them really more or less be playmakers and kind of like, mainly James Harden play off the ball. So he can be more like a catch and shoot guy. And then he might switch it up at times where he makes James Harden the primary, point guard. So it's like, until they really figure things out, it's going to be hard to say. But either way, with these four players, he's really, if it's up to him, he really would keep this lineup the exact same way it is. Those four players in the starting lineup and, one center, or, Mason Plumlee, or shout out to him. Hopefully he comes back quickly. But, and Zubac. He really would like to keep it this way because this is the first idea he came up with. He said, I'm going to put all four of them in the starting lineup and see how that goes. But see, hopefully he realizes that at some point, one of them going to have to come off the bench, either Harden or, Westbrook, going to have to play with the second unit. If they talk about sacrifice, but it might, you might have to really stand on that. You might have to really sacrifice something. So hopefully they'll be ready and up and ready for it, and there won't be no discrepancy there. But what if he does decide to keep this lineup the exact same way it is? I mean, the defensive effort of the Clippers is going to go down a lot because it's asking a lot of Kawhi to go out there and defend the best player and drop 30 points consistently. I mean, it's just a lot, especially somebody coming off an ACL tear. It's a lot to ask Paul George to do that, you know what I'm saying? And, keep that up all year long and then go into the playoffs and do the same thing. And that's the reason why the Clippers kind of like lost a little energy going into the playoffs. They look gassed, in some of those rounds. If you think about the previous years, them being in the playoffs, they look gassed a little bit because Tyronn Lue was putting so much, on Kawhi and PG offensively, along with trying to be the defensive prowess as they are and handle the ball. But now they got good ball handlers. It's still going to be a lot asked out of them to guard because both of those ball handlers are really not good on defense. Russ plays hard on defense, but he's not a great defender. You know what I'm saying? People can get around Russ, and Russ will play hard, rightfully so, but he's not a great defender. James Harden is either. So losing defense definitely might come back to haunt them without those Nicholas Batums and Robert Covingtons around. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they figured out, as I said before, they got time, but that could potentially be a problem, from what I see, but hopefully they'll get it fixed so it won't ever become one. But hey, that's my take. Leave any comments. We'll talk about it.